I'm your friendly neighbor Web-Warrior Fanatic, and today we are covering the two new Luke Cage cards that were just reviewed on the Fantasy Flight Games social media pages, on their Facebook and on their Instagram, and we totally predicted these cards, guys. Before we get into it, if you are appreciating this consistent Marvel Champions coverage and want to support the channel, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps the channel out a lot. But let's jump into it here. So the first card that we got here is Harlem's Hero, and this card may be the best card in Luke Cage's kit here. Oh, this one's really good too, but this one right here, it's a one-cost event. It's a skill card. As a hero action, give Luke Cage a tough stats card. For each tough stats card on Luke Cage, choose a character, any character that you control, and you can ready that character. It ain't just me. I've got family to back me up. Luke Cage. Okay, we all know that Luke Cage is Harlem's Hero. And for our predictions right here, this is the missing card, the missing event in Luke Cage's kit, right? We knew that he had over here, these are all of his cards. His identity specific ally is a 1 out of 15 card. And we have Knuckle Sandwich right here, 1 copy for the 4 out of 15. And then for 5 out of 15, we have 2 copies of the Stand With Me, and then 2 copies of Sweet Christmas for 7 out of 15 and 8 out of 15. And during our live stream, I predicted that the 2 out of 15 and 3 out of 15 card would be an event here that gives Luke Cage a tough status card, but that also has a specific art right here from the article. This art right here will be the same art, and I was entirely right, guys. So just bragging right here, because I feel really cool that we called that one. And someone in my live chat also shouted out that they think that this would be a defense event, and I agree with them that I thought that it would also be a defense event. I was wrong about that, so it's not a defense event, but 2 out of 3, right? That's an event that gives him a tough stats card, really helping out his hero kit, but also having this really cool Luke Cage art. This is probably the coolest art on all the cards on Luke Cage's kit. But yeah, super duper cool. Harlem's Hero. Okay, so let's look at the card here. And I know a lot of people are saying that Luke Cage, is going to be weaker than Colossus, that he looks like the weakest hero of this wave. I think that this card and this card, both of them, I mean, but this card in particular, because we're going to talk about this card first, really changes that. So as a one-cost event to give Luke Cage a tough, that is like the cheapest way to get a tough stats card. It's really nice. A tough is very efficient, and for a one-cost event to do that, amazing. Especially because Luke can stack on any unlimited amount of tough stats cards, right? With his ability here, the Unbreakable Skin, Luke Cage can have any number of toughs and attacks against Luke Cage lose piercing, right? So the toughs are very viable on Luke Cage. And if you draw like an event that gives you a tough status card, normally it's like if you already have a tough, right? You don't want to play the event and get another tough again. So like that can be kind of annoying because most heroes can only have one tough status card on them, right? But for Luke Cage, an event that gives him a tough is essentially a an upgrade, right? Like in terms of the way that it's on demand, because the way that I think about it, it's like Luke can have any amount of tough status cards. If I draw an event that gives him a tough, I can always play it, right? He's always a target for it. It's not like if I already have a tough, I can't do it, right? If there's like no thwart or no threat on the main scheme, a thwart event, it's, useless because there's no threat to remove, right? If there's no like enemies that you can do damage to, an attack event is useless because you can't, attack them. So that's why events are more situational. But this event right here, Harlem's Hero, this one for Luke Cage is never situational because Luke can have any amount of toughs. So getting an extra tough is always going to be good. So like, the badness of events of their unreliability and them being situation does not apply to this event. So this event, I do think it's like, one of the best events in the game. Because of that, for Luke Cage, it's never situational because he could always have tough status cards. So that's just really good. Then, okay, I can't, I like don't know what to say about this other effect right here. For each tough stats card on Luke Cage, choose a character you control and ready it. Okay, let's look at this as like the worst case scenario. So let's say Luke has no tough stats cards on him, and you play Harlem's Hero. This is the worst case scenario, right? You give Luke Cage a tough, so you have 1 tough on Luke Cage. Then for each tough on Luke, you can choose the character ready. So you can just ready up Luke Cage right away with that 1 tough stats card, and then like he can activate or like do whatever, right? Okay, I mean that in itself is already insane, guys. A 1 cost ready, like we all know how good like limited stamina is, right? Having a 1 cost ready is already really good for any hero to have. We talked about like Army of 1, the protection card is just a 1 cost ready if you have no other allies in play. that's invaluable. That's still very efficient, very, very good. And Luke will always get that one ready, and you can use it on yourself, on Luke Cage, because it's any character you control. So that's guaranteed. It's a one cost ready. However, it also gives him a tough stats card, right? We're kind of evaluating this card like from its floor up. So one cost ready is already like, insanely good, right? That's already like a top tier level card. Then you get a tough on top of that. So now it's like already S tier. It's one of the best identity specific events in the game because you get it tough and you get it ready for just one cost. Those are both effects that are usually costed more than one, right? Like there's some raids that's two costs. There's some ways to get a tough stats card that's two costs or higher, right? So this two effects in one for only one cost, so it's cheaper. Like I can't stress enough how efficient, how powerful this card is. Like it's just like all the like efficient stuff added in one made even more efficient because it's so cheap. Yeah, so that's just the floor of the card. So it says here for each tough stats card on Luke Cage, you can choose the character you control and ready it. So if you have 3 allies on the board, if you're playing leadership and you have like Triskeleton, you can have like 4 allies, right? So let's say you have like 4 allies on the board, right? And Luke Cage has 3 tough stats cards on him. When you play Harlem's Hero, you get 1 more tough. So now you have 4 toughs. Then for each of those 4 toughs, choose any character you control and ready it. So you can ready up all 4 of your allies or ready up Luke Cage and 3 of the allies, right? Guys, what the heck? What the tempo of this is insane. And imagine like if you have 4 allies out and you have Luke, right? Everyone can activate and everyone can like, let's say they can like all attack for like 2, for example, right? So, Luke plus 4 allies all attacking for 2, that's like what? That's 5 characters, so that's 10 damage, right? You play Harlem's Hero, and if you have, 5 toughs after playing this, everyone readies back up and you can swing again with everyone for like another 2, and that's already like 10 damage right there, or 10 times 2, so 20 damage in that one turn for a crazy, crazy push. I mean, that's crazy to give this that can like mass ready all of your allies. Now, obviously, Luke does not have the easiest way to get tough stats cards, but we talked about how like probably the way that I want to play him is stacking on those toughs and getting as many toughs as I can. So if you are able to get enough toughs on Luke, I mean, this card is like a game ender, right? It's very similar to like Avengers Assemble to ready up all your allies and have them activate again. That's so good for a one cost card. If you draw both copies of this, he has 2 copies of this in his kit, right? The 2 out of 15 and 3 out of 15. You get both of them in one turn, and the allies have enough, console damage or like hit points to take console damage. You can get a double ready all across the board extremely cheaply for just one cost. I Yeah, I can't stress how good this is. Like you can ready your allies if you want them to ready up. You can ready like Nick Fury to have him thwart again. Sorry, not Nick Fury. Professor X, the one that I meant to say, because Professor X has 3 thwart. You can ready him up to thwart again if you play him on that turn with the Harlem's Hero here. Such a great card just for Luke, but also for any build with allies with Luke. Just really incentivizing that. That's I cannot like. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about how Luke is probably like the most balanced hero of this wave. Like he's pretty fair. Like all of his cards look pretty balanced. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm happy or like kind of sad that like I feel this card is very power creeping and like it kind of like makes Luke Cage definitely contend for a very powerful hero. And I think that this like puts him up really high. Obviously, it is an event, so you don't draw, you can't play. But I mean, one of the best identity specific events in the game Mario Champions, like hands down, just for giving Luke a tough and for giving himself the ready. And then if you combine with like the potential of like giving other allies ready to go for like a final push, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, totally insane card. Okay, so that's already insane. Then the other card is called Fogwell Gym. It's a 1 cost support, and I did predict that the 9 out of 15 card for Luke Cage would be a support. So we're right on that. This is the only support that Luke Cage has in his kit here. It's going to be in between his events and upgrades, right? So the event right here, Sweet Christmas, it's a 7 out of 15 and 8 out of 15. It's events. And for the upgrades here, 10 out of 15 and so on, starting with the Burstein Process. So we're missing 9 out of 15, and yeah, we're correct that it's going to be a support here. So it's a location support. We did also predict that it would be a persona support because Bullseye and a lot of things work with like persona supports in the box of Fear and Evil. So I'm a little bit surprised here that we're wrong on that it's not a persona. It's actually just a location. So Luke Cage has no personas in his kit. He does have Jessica Jones as ally, but no personas in the kit there for Luke Cage because that's the only support that he's gonna have. So as a response here, after a tough status card is this card from a defender character. It has to be a defender. You can exhaust this card, the Fogwell's Gym, and then you can ready that character. Okay, so I think that, I've seen people say this card is really good with leadership, and I think it is for Luke Cage leadership with the defensive formation in particular, because this card's a 2-cost support. As an action, you can exhaust it, remove a counter to give any defender ally a tough status card. So perfect synergy here with this leadership card with Fogwell's Gym. And, whenever they first preview this card, you guys know, if you guys are in my live stream, that I'm not the biggest fan of this card. I think that it can be good, but you need other stuff to support it, right? I think that this card combined with something like Misty Knight, Misty Knight, that's good to like give her a tough stats card, so she gets +2 Thor plus to attack. Combine the defensive formation with like Righteous Purpose is also really good because then you can have the tough and have the ally with 1 remaining hit point while keeping that tough on them, so they can activate for more. So obviously, if you set this up, it's good. So Luke Cage actually has this card here in kit to help him set up for that defensive formation. So yeah, very, very good there. So each time the tough is discarded, like you use this to give a tough to an ally, that defender ally, and after they activate, they'll take constant damage, lose the tough, then you can exhaust Fogwell's Gym to ready the character back up. And yeah, they can like activate again or like do whatever, right? So I think very, very high tempo here. So basically, normally, whenever you're playing with allies that have tough status cards, they are slower. They're like low tempo. I've often talked about this, right? When you play an ally, they have a tough status card. You want them to block for you, so the villain attack goes on the tough. You can't activate with them because if they take constant damage, then they lose the tough. So you have to wait for villain phase. The villain activates, the ally exhausts to block. They stay alive. The next player phase, the ally is still there, but they're exhausted, so they can't activate again. So you gotta wait another turn for them to ready back up to activate with them. So it's very good defensively, but it's just very, very slow. You're not able to like have to ally Thor and attack to like help you deal with the board pressure, right? So that's a common thing there. This card is very good because it helps you ready up that character, readying up that ally to help them have that higher tempo. However, it's locked to defender characters, so I don't think it's like the craziest thing in the world because we don't have like that many defender allies, right? And of course, you could give defender allies tough with the defense formation right here. So I think that's fine. I think that's dandy or whatever. Okay. Well, I think this card is even better for, and why I think it's so good, is just for Luke Cage. Like nothing like particular for allies. Just for Luke Cage, Fogwell's Gym is amazing. This is actually a protection hook for Luke Cage. Actually, I think it's so good for him to play protection with this card. So it's a 1-cost support, super duper cheap. And after a tough, it's this card from a defender character. Luke Cage, he's a defender here. Only hero form though, but he is a defender. You can exhaust Fogwell's Gym and ready that character. Another reason why I think it's not as good for allies is because you only have 1 copy of this card. After you exhaust it, it doesn't ready back up again, right? So it's kind of just once per round because you have to exhaust the card. Well, who do we want to ready on demand once per round? Luke Cage is who we want to ready. So basically, for Luke Cage, if one of the things that we talk about is that perfect defense protection, where whenever you defend and you don't take damage, you can trigger all these cards unflappable and get other effects, right? You probably don't want to be playing that way with Luke Cage because he gets tough status cards. So like if you are exhausting to defend with him, and the tough takes it, like you don't take any damage because the tough. I mean, Luke still takes 1 damage because of the force response here. After you discard tough from Luke, he takes an unpreventable damage. But like really, you're wasting your exhaust to defend because the tough would have taken all damage for you anyways, right? Like if you were to exhaust and actually use your defense side to reduce the damage taken, then that's good. But then like because of the tough thing, right? There's no real point of exhausting with Luke Cage. Well, now with Fogwell's Gym, you actually can exhaust with Luke Cage, defend. The tough soaks all the damage for you, and then you ready back up immediately with Fogwell's Gym. So now you're able to exhaust and defend and not take damage. So if there's cards that are like, you need to like defend and not take damage, like trigger X ability, I think Luke Cage can do that now, right? Because now, he has all these toughs. He exhausts, he doesn't take damage from the attack, right? Because the tough blocked the damage from attack. And then you get trigger like the effect that works off of, you not taking damage from that attack. You do take unpreventable damage, which is, fine. But then there's no side effect because you had to exhaust, but you can ready it back up right away with Fogwell's Gym. So this is a really cool protection hook for Luke Cage here, and it's almost like a defense event because we're thinking about like how he doesn't have any defense events in his kit. This is kind of like that, right? Because it helps facilitate like that type of like defensive action for Luke Cage to be able to exhaust every single round and ready back up immediately because you're gonna lose a tough and you can just ready back up to use your basic activation to thwart or attack during that next player phase. So yeah, this is a really cool card. And obviously there's other ways to use the card. We talk about using it for allies, but during a player phase, if like Luke loses a tough and he's exhausted, you can ready him back up. So there's ways where like, if you're like already exhausted, maybe find a way to deal him a damage to like get it ready from Fogwell's gym. But yeah, I mean either way, it's a one cost support, so it's so cheap. So like you might as well just get it down. So yeah, this is totally insane. And I do want to go over the card count here. So we're still missing one card from Luke Cage's kit. And it's gonna be an upgrade, or it's gonna be two upgrades. I mean, so it's one card, one unique card. That's not the right way to say. We're missing one card, but there's actually two copies of that card. So it's gonna be upgrade. We know the Burstein Process is 10 out of 15, and the Metal Bracer is 13 out of 15 and 14 out of 15. So we're missing the 11th and the 12th card in Luke Cage's kit. And since it's in between two upgrades right here, we know it's gonna be an upgrade. So not sure what that one is. Not sure if it's gonna be a resource generator or like something else to like give him toughs. But that card could be another game changer because these two cards are definitely game changers. I did not expect to see at all. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I just love that this is like a nice protection hook for him. Give him an on-demand ready if he wants it. And then the Harlem's hero here is a ready whenever you draw it. And you basically just always want to play this card. Like, I don't see any reason why you don't want to play this because you get the tough, which helps you prevent damage, from a villain attack. And you always want to stack these toughs with Luke. And then you also get to ready him up, like at least ready him up just himself, and then like at most you ready up a bunch of allies as well. You won't be able to ready up characters you don't control, so you can't ready up other players' allies or like other identities. But that's okay. I mean, it's already so good in itself for a one cost event. Yeah. So okay, guys, that's my thoughts here on these two new cards. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm in disbelief right now. I don't know. Like, how much strong do I think this makes Luke Cage? I think that he's minimum A tier. I don't think he's gonna be a B tier hero. I think there's no way with especially this card in his kit right here. Like they really help round out, especially the Harlem's hero, because he needs more ways to get toughs. And this card, yeah, I mean a on-demand, sorry, not on-demand, a ready that you can play on any turn unconditionally, and to get a tough, which is unconditional for Luke because he can have any amount of toughs. That's so good, guys. All right, guys. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully, it didn't drag too long, but yeah, we now know every single card in Luke Cage's kit except for one upgrade, but there's two copies of that missing upgrade that we don't know in between the Burstein Process and Metal Bracer. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, guys. What do you think of these two new cards? Is Harlem's hero insane? And how much stronger do you think that Luke Cage is now with these cards in his kit? Because this is arguably one of the best identity-specific cards in the game, Marvel Champions. Yeah, totally insane. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.